Welcome to Wisdom Trek with Gramps. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, and we are on day 2650 of our trek. The purpose of Wisdom Trek is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, and to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. In today's Wisdom Nugget, it is titled A Lifelong Anchor, a trek through Psalm 71, verses 1 through 6. We're embarking on a deeply personal and encouraging journey through the opening verses of Psalm 71 in the New Living Translation. Psalm 71 is unique and poignant. It's a prayer of an older individual, one who has walked with God for many years, faced with numerous challenges, and now, they're in their latter years, they continue to trust God implicitly with unwavering faithfulness. It's a powerful testimony to a lifelong reliance on the Almighty, even when facing new adversaries and public scorn. The psalmist's words resonate with anyone who has endured a long journey of faith, marked by both trials and triumphs. In an ancient Israelite society, old age brought both respect and, at times, vulnerability. The psalmist here is likely experiencing the latter, facing enemies who perhaps see his age as a weakness. Yet his response is not one of despair, but a confident appeal to the God that he has known and trusted throughout his entire life. This psalm reminds us that God is not just a God of the youth or of crisis, but a faithful companion and protector through every season of life, right into the twilight years. So let's open our hearts and our minds to these words of seasoned faith, allowing their wisdom to anchor us in our own journey. Psalm chapter 71, verses 1 through 3 first. Lord, I come to you for protection. Don't let me be disgraced. Rescue me, save me, for you are a righteous God. Turn your ear to listen and rescue me. Be my rock of refuge, a fortress where I can always find safety. For you are my rock and my fortress. The psalm begins with an immediate and urgent plea for divine protection. Lord, I come to you for protection. Don't let me be disgraced. This is a cry from someone under a threat, facing a situation where his reputation, his dignity, and perhaps even his life are on the line. In an ancient Israelite society, public disgrace or shame was a profound spiritual and social setback, often feared as much as, if not more than, physical harm. It implied that God has withdrawn his favor, leaving one vulnerable to contempt. The psalmist desperately wants to avoid this. His plea quickly intensifies. Rescue me, save me, for you are a righteous God. Turn your ear to listen and rescue me. This is almost a breathless cry, a direct appeal to God's character. He asks God to rescue and save him, not because of his own merit, but because God is a righteous God. This means God is just, faithful, and acts in accordance to his holy nature. His righteousness ensures that he will ultimately deliver those who trust in him and deal justly with those adversaries. The repeated plea, turn your ear to listen and rescue me, highlights the psalmist's desperate desire for God's immediate and attentive intervention. The psalmist then uses powerful foundational imagery to describe God. Be my rock of refuge, a fortress where I can always find safety, for you are my rock and my fortress. In the ancient world, rock and fortresses were literal places of safety. A rock of refuge was a natural stronghold, a cave or a high, inaccessible cliff face where one could flee from their enemies. It offers solid ground, stability, and a protection from attack. The fortress was a fortified military stronghold, a place of impenetrable defense. For the psalmist to call God his rock of refuge and fortress indicates his complete reliance on God for ultimate security. It means that God is his unshakable foundation, an impregnable defense against all threats. The repetition, for you are my rock and my fortress, isn't just redundant. It's an emphatic declaration of absolute trust and conviction. It's like saying, this is who you are to me, God. This is what I know to be true about you. He's not asking God to become these things. He's proclaiming that God is already these things to him, based on a lifetime of experience. Imagine a traveler caught in a sudden, violent storm. They frantically search for shelter, then spot a massive, unmovable rock formation with a deep, dry cave. They rush into its embrace, knowing that they are safe. That rock is their refuge, their fortress. For the psalmist, God is the ultimate, unfailing shelter in the storms of life. Now let's continue our trek with verses 4 through 6, where the psalmist expands his desperate plea, highlighting his lifelong trust in God from birth and his continual praise. My God, rescue me from the power of the wicked, from the clutches of the cruel and evil people. O Lord, you alone are my hope. I have trusted in you, O sovereign Lord, since my childhood. Yes, you have been my guide since I was born. You took me from my mother's womb. My lips will shout your praise forever. The psalmist clarifies the nature of his threat. My God, rescue me from the power of the wicked, from the clutches of the cruel and evil people. The enemies are not just adversaries, but they are wicked, cruel, and evil. They are actively seeking to harm him, to get him into their clutches, a metaphor for a tight, inescapable grasp, like a predator holding its prey. This specifies the malicious intent behind his suffering, reinforcing his plea for God's righteous intervention. Then comes a profound statement of exclusive trust. "O Lord, you alone are my hope." This is a complete declaration of utter dependence. There is no other recourse, no other source of help or salvation. In the face of the powerful, cruel enemies, the psalmist places his hope in God and God alone. This is a crucial element of a mature faith, recognizing that, ultimately, our hope for rescue and vindication rests entirely with God. The reason for this exclusive hope is then revealed, a lifetime of experience with God's faithfulness. "I have trusted in you, O sovereign Lord, since my childhood. Yes, you have been my guide since I was born. You took me from my mother's womb." This is the psalmist's powerful testimony of a lifelong faith. He is not a recent convert. He's someone who has known and relied on God from his earliest moments of existence. The phrase, "since my childhood," or "from my youth," signifies a deeply rooted, long-standing relationship with God. Even more profoundly, he says, "God has been his guide since he was born, and took me from my mother's womb." This expresses an awareness of God's sovereign hand on his life even before birth, shaping his very existence and guiding him through every stage. In the ancient Israelite mind, God's hand was seen in every aspect of life, from conception to old age. The psalmist clearly sees God as one who has brought him into the world, watched over him, and led him through every day of his life. Think about the consistent guidance and protection a shepherd provides for his sheep, from the moment the lamb is born, or the unwavering support of a parent who has nurtured and guided their children from infancy. The psalmist views God as their constant guiding presence, a source of unwavering reliability throughout his entire lifespan. This deep, historical trust forms a foundation for his present plea and his confident expectation. And what is the natural outflow of such a lifetime of faithful guidance? "My lips will shout your praise forever." Despite the current distress, despite the ongoing threats from the enemies, the psalmist will ultimately respond as a commitment with a perpetual praise. His lips will not be silent. They will shout God's praise, a joyful, public, exuberant declaration of God's goodness and faithfulness. The word "forever" indicates that his praise is not just for a moment of deliverance, but for a continuous, enduring act of worship, a living legacy of gratitude for God's lifelong care. Psalm 71 verses 1 through 6 is a beautiful testament to the power of a lifelong trust in God, especially in the face of adversity. He encourages us to anchor our hope in God's unchanging character and proven faithfulness, from our earliest days to our oldest. What profound wisdom can we glean from these opening verses for our Wisdom Trek today? Well, firstly, these verses model deep, unreserved trust in God as an ultimate refuge and fortress. When life storms rage and enemies threaten, our first and surest recourse is to run to him for protection. Secondly, they remind us that our appeal to God is rooted in his righteousness and his character, and not in our own merit. We can confidently ask for his intervention because of who he is, a righteous, compassionate, and saving God. Thirdly, the psalmist's lifelong testimony encourages us to recognize and cultivate our own history with God. Reflect on God's faithfulness from the earliest memories and how he guided and sustained you through every season. This reflection builds on a deep well of trust that you can draw from in times of your current need. And finally, despite present troubles, the appropriate response to God's lifelong faithfulness and continuous, even lifelong praise. Our lips should be ready to shout his praise forever, making our lives a living testimony to his unwavering love and protection. Let us, like the psalmist, declare, "O Lord, you alone are my hope," and with lips that shall praise forever, let us find the ultimate safety and refuge in God who has guided us since we were born. Thank you for joining me on this powerful trek through the opening verses of Psalm 71. I trust that this exploration of a lifelong trust in divine refuge has resonated with your own journey and strengthened your faith. Join me the next time as we continue to seek and apply the timeless truths of God's Word. And if you found this podcast insightful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Then encourage your friends and family to join us and come along with us tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, and most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal. As we take this trek of life together, Let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, led to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you next time for more daily wisdom.